With just 5 days to go until Election Day, both presidential candidates will be campaigning in the crucial battleground states of Arizona and Nevada.
Former President Donald Trump, he will be holding a rally in New Mexico today. Let's get right to Good Day's Briella Tomasetti. She joins us live in studio with the latest on the race for the White House. Briella, good morning.
Good morning to both of you, Tashani and Robert. And one thing is for certain, there are a lot of unwanted distractions in the home stretch of this race. We're dealing with trash talk on both sides, no pun intended. President Biden facing criticism over comments he made about Trump supporters being garbage. Biden insists he was referring to hateful rhetoric used at a Trump rally and not calling all of the former president's supporters garbage. The impact of Biden's comments or those made at the rally last weekend here in New York remain to be seen, but it may be too late to salvage the damage because as of yesterday, some 53 million Americans have already voted.
On November 5th, we're going to bring back our country, and we're going to bring it to levels of greatness that nobody actually thought even possible.
Former President Donald Trump walked onto the stage in Green Bay, Wisconsin, donning an orange construction vest. It comes from an earlier photo op where he spoke with reporters from the front seat of a garbage truck, clapping back at President Joe Biden for likening his supporters to garbage.
I think that the comment made by really both of them, because there are really two of them, about being garbage, maybe 250 million people, they shouldn't be talking.
The Trump campaign is still doing damage control over comments made by a comedian at his New York rally last weekend, referring to Puerto Rico as a floating island of garbage. In a call with Hispanic advocacy group Voto Latino, President Biden responded with words that have stirred up a whole lot of controversy.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
The former president was quick to seize on those comments. Earlier in the day, Trump spoke in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, taking aim at the Democratic Party.
They've bullied you, they've demeaned us, they've demonized us and censored us.
The two presidential candidates nearly crossed paths in the Tar Heel state, where, according to the latest polls, they are virtually tied.
Make no mistake, we will win.
And while President Biden has since walked back his comments, saying he only meant to refer to just one Trump supporter, VP Harris is still trying to fend off some unwanted attention.
Well, he clarified his comments, but let me be clear, I strongly disagree with any criticism of people based on who they vote for.
And today, both presidential candidates will overlap in Arizona and Nevada. Trump is set to co-host a hurricane relief benefit with Tucker Carlson in Glendale. Harris, in the meantime, will join Jennifer Lopez, who just endorsed her, in Las Vegas as they try to reach undecided Latino voters. Robert and Tashani, back to you.
All right, Briella, thank you. Well, let's lighten things up. Halloween comes early at the White House.
President Joe Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden handed out candy to trick-or-treaters yesterday. The First Lady wore a panda costume as a welcoming gesture to pandas returning to the National Zoo in Washington.
Cute.
She added an educational Hallow-Read theme to the event in an effort to encourage children to read. The Bidens handed out boxes of White House Hershey's Kisses chocolates, as well as copies of 10 spooky pumpkins.
I love that she dressed up because honestly, you would have had no idea that was the First Lady in a panda costume.